Hey guys, Quentin here from the Sherman Tank channel. Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about something that has been debated for the last 78 years and a lot of discussions and rows on the internet and stuff about it. And finally I did my research, about at least 40 to 50 hours of research just to know this stuff. Little tiny bit of a Sherman. But today we're going to talk about the 75mm M3. L40 on the Sherman, like same as this. There's a couple of models here, of course. Same as this short barrel Sherman here. This is the 75mm M3 L40 gun. I'm going to finally talk about this gun because there's been a lot of hate and basically fake or not completely realistic stuff told about it. And right now I'm going to finally talk to you about it, even compare it to even some guns you won't even thought that would be almost that the gun almost be as powerful as those guns. But yeah, we're gonna go and get into it. I did my writing. I got my data sheets here, which I will hang up in a moment. And basically, yeah, we're basically gonna talk about the 75 M3 and finally give you the truth about this gun. And basically all of those documentaries saying it's a weak gun and stuff like that, well, after my 50 hours, almost 50 hours of research, that is totally not true. That's totally untrue. So anyways, let's now get into it. I got my data sheets here, so I got a bit of tape to hang it up on the wall here. I've got here the armor penetration data sheet for the 75mm M3 L40. There it is. Just get a bit of tape on the bottom. Don't have a whiteboard yet, so definitely gonna purchase one, but yeah. Here we have it. As you probably see, we got all the rounds here. We've got the standard AP M72 round, basically capable at point blank range, penetrating about 120mm of armor. That's really good. That is already enough to penetrate the armor of the Tiger or Panther. Panther on the turret, Tiger on the hull, up to at least 500 meters. This stuff doesn't get told to you guys, so basically, anyways, let's go further with rounds. We've got also APCBC M61, basically the most used round with the film, being capable of penetrating 110 millimeters, which is also really good. And then we've got the round which 99.9% of people don't know about. That's the APCR T45 round. They didn't use it in the war, but it was available, so I am going to include it. So anyways, but we see right here, that is a 2. This gun, seriously guys, this gun can penetrate 210 millimeters with APCR. Have you ever thought that? So basically, I'll start off, of course, again, I'm going to start with the row, with the M72 round. As you can see, at point blank, 120 millimeters of penetration. Up to 500 meters, 105 millimeters of penetration. At 1500 meters, we have got 83 millimeters of penetration. And at 2000 meters, we've got 66 millimeters of penetration. 2500 meters, we've got 61 millimeters of penetration. And at 3000 meters, we've got 59 millimeters of penetration, which is, in my opinion, even for 1943, that is awesome. That is pretty good. Then we've got the M61, which is actually slightly heavier. This round weighs 6.35 kilos. This round weighs 6.8 kilos. So, and they both fly at 620 meters a second, which is 2050 to 2030 FPS. However, the weight is half a kilo more of the APCBC because, of course, it's filled with HE. Also, it's basically an APHE round. It basically penetrates at point blank a respectable 110 millimeters. At 500 meters, you can penetrate 94 millimeters of armor, still really good. At 1000 meters, we've got 81 millimeters of penetration. right there. And at 1500 we got 70 millimeters of penetration. At 2000 meters we've got 62 millimeters of penetration. At 2500 meters we got 55 millimeters of penetration. And at 3000 meters we've got 52 millimeters of penetration. Both rounds, amazing rounds. Although, as you probably see, the AP round already comes on top. And it basically has to do with the 500 grams less weight, or half a kilo. That's 59, that's 52, 7 millimeters different. That is a difference, but not too big difference. However, of course, the M61 does more damage. The AP M72 has more penetration, however, it does also respectable damage. Then we've got the fantastic T45 APCR. As I said, 99.9% of people do not even know that this round exists. However, I've researched it, I've digged everywhere, and I found it. So, at point blank, we have got a penetration of an unbelievable 210 millimeters of armor. That is more than 8 inches of armor. That is twice the thickness as the frontal plate of a Tiger 1 tank. That's basically amazing, and 99.9% of people don't know it. And I'm actually also have the data sheets for the Tiger 1, which I will hang up in a moment, also for the Panzer 4 and the T-34-85. And I'm gonna surprise you guys really. So, but first, anyways, let's go over this round as well. Point blank, 210 millimeters of penetration. At 100 meters, 205 millimeters of penetration. At 500 meters, 187 millimeters of penetration. At 1,000 meters, at 1 kilometer, 166 millimeters of penetration. At 1500 meters, we've got 148 millimeters of penetration. At 2000 meters, we've got 133 millimeters of penetration. And 2500 meters, we've got 126 millimeters of penetration. And at 3000 meters, we've got also a very respectable 110 millimeters of penetration. And guys, that shows 110 millimeters. How thick is the front plate of a Tiger? If you guessed right, 103 millimeters. So even at the absolute max range, with this round, we can easily go through the front plate of a Tiger. However, the only problem is really they haven't fielded this round. If they had fielded this round, you had no issue with the 75 millimeter. Of course, this round does less damage than the AP. However, still pretty respectable, because if you need to shoot through 210 millimeters, that 210 millimeters or more, at least 120 millimeters or more, is definitely enough spalling, let's say. So that is enough to basically easily penetrate the turret cheeks of a Panther or the frontal hull of a Tiger, even at 3,000 meters. 3,000, that's 3 kilometers. That's insane. So anyways, let's show you now the data sheets of, let's say, the main competitor of the 75 M3, and that is of course the 7.5 centimeter Pak 40. Basically hang it. Hope you guys can see up here. There it hangs. Basically, the Pak 40 shoots Panzergranate 39 APCBC rounds, same as the M61 shot. Not the exact same round, but the same sort of type of shot. And of course, the Panzergranate 40 APCR rounds, same type of ammunition as the T45 APCR. Basically, around the same. You know what I mean. So, anyways, we got right there at point blank at 10 meters, 141 millimeters penetration. Of course, at the Sherman, this is 110 millimeters. So, but however, that is not too big of a difference. That's 31 millimeters of difference. That is a difference, though. You will probably notice that when you shoot it, but not as large as people say. And then at 100 meters, we got 138 millimeters of penetration. With the M61 shot, we've got 107 millimeters penetration. At 500 meters, we've got 128 millimeters of pen. With M61 shot, that's 94 millimeters. At 1,000, 115 millimeters for the Panzer 4. And for the Sherman, 81 millimeters. And basically at 1500 meters, got 102 millimeters of penetration. And there for the Sherman 70, and for the Panzer IV at 2000, 92, and for the Sherman 62, basically 2500, 83 there for the Panzer IV, and 55 for the Sherman, and for the Panzer IV, 73 millimeters there, and 52 millimeters for the Sherman. That's basically eventually the difference even narrows, because the Panzer IV loses more per 100 meters than the Sherman has, because we have closed the gap from 31 millimeters to a respectable 21 millimeters. So that is actually not 21 millimeters, not that big of a difference though. It starts to creep down. So actually this round performs better at range because it loses less amount of penetration, armor penetration at range. So then we have the Panzergranate 40 APCR. 176 millimeters of pen at point blank. Look at what the Sherman does. This gun shoots higher FPS than the Sherman. It has a longer barrel than the Sherman. However, still, it can pen 35 millimeters to 30 to 35 millimeters less than the Sherman's gun. 210 versus 176. That is, as I said, also with that is a reasonable difference. You will definitely notice that. Also with the AP versus APCD, so you will definitely notice that. But this, when you need absolute max power, the Sherman comes out on top, as what we see. So let's go across the ranges from point blank to 3 kilometers. Here we start off with 176 millimeters pen at point blank. The Sherman does 210 millimeters. So that is 35 millimeters more penetration at point blank. That's insane. Then we've got here at 100 meters, 171 millimeters versus the Sherman at a 205. Both lose exactly the same amount of armor penetration. That's both lose around 5 millimeters of penetration at the first 100 meters. Then we go to 500 meters. For the Panzer IV, we got 154 millimeters there. For the Sherman, 187. Look, that is still a big gap. That loses around 20 minus, sorry, got to calculate a bit, 17 millimeters across from those 400 meters. The Sherman loses, I think, a little bit more, 13 plus, again, about 18 millimeters. So it's 1 millimeter difference. So they're relatively about the same amount of also in loss. But however, the Sherman's gun is quite a lot more powerful. 35 millimeters is 1.5 inch more. That's quite a reasonable gap, let's say. Sorry. Anyways, then we go to 1000 meters. This penetrates 133 millimeters, and the Sherman pens 166 millimeters. That is, both guns really good, but the Sherman, however, is definitely quite a lot more now. Basically, it pens about 33 millimeters more, so it's slightly close in, but still relatively about the same. Then we go to 1500 meters. That is 115 millimeters, and there is 148. So that's still relatively about the same. That's about 30 millimeters. So 30 plus 3, the same 33, so it still keeps the same gap. They lose about the same amount of armor penetration across ranges. I think the Sherman is about 4.6 in the beginning, and the Panzer IV is 4.4, so 0.2 is not that much of a difference though. Then we go to 2000 meters. The Panzer IV penetrates 98 millimeters. The Sherman pens 133 millimeters. So, 33, see, that's already, again, now the Panzer IV is starting to drop down faster. The armor penetration starts to drop down faster than what the 75mm M3 does. And we see, Here at 2,500 meters, the Panzer IV penetrates a still very respectable 83 millimeters penetration, whilst the Sherman penetrates 126. So the difference is starting to get quite big. See, now the difference is quite large. So basically 26 plus 17. I gotta calculate a little bit. 6 plus 17 is 30 plus. Yeah, it's already, now the difference is cranked up to 43 millimeters of penetration. So basically, the Panzer IV's round is starting to lose steam a whole lot quicker now. We're getting into 1.5 to 2 kilometer ranges. Then to 2, yeah, of course 2.5. And at 3 kilometers, the Panzer IV penetrates also respectable 68 millimeters. However, the Sherman penetrates 110 millimeters. That is also, again, a huge difference. That's 32 plus 10. Again, 42. So we've widened the gap from 34 all the way to 44, 42, 43 millimeters. So again, this round, same as the M61, loses less armor penetration across range, which means these two rounds are better rounds than these two also. Basically, again, especially with the APCR round, the 75mm M3 completely outclasses the Pak 40. Yeah, it's a big difference. Against 42mm different, then it starts to get quite large, the difference. Like, normally I personally say 15 to 20 millimeters, that's a difference, but not too big. But as soon as you get over that, then it starts to get quite big, and then, yeah. So there you see the comparison against the Pak 40. We completely outclass this gun with the APC when the powers are mentioned needed. Now for the big part, the 80mm on the Tiger 2. Oh, sorry, the Tiger 1. Well, not Tiger 2, Tiger 1. People have said in documentaries that this gun is more than twice as powerful as the Sherman's gun. Well, that is a big load of bullshit. Because that's what I found out. Look at this penetration. How much does that say? That says 225 millimeters. How much does the Sherman pen? 210 millimeters. That is only half an inch, 15 millimeters, half an inch difference in armor penetration. Also looking at the speed which the bullet flies, which the shell flies. 3100 FPS, 930 meters a second. This flies at 2900 FPS and 885 meters a second. This gun only has 7% more power. That's it. No more. Not the full 200% the powers. No. It only has 7% more power. All that bullshit, all of the years has been told. I see it right. You see it right here in front of you. This is facts. These are facts. 210 millimeters, 225 millimeters. Only also 7% more feet per second. That is it, basically. So basically, when you need the power, the 75 M3 absolutely delivers. It almost penetrates as much. It's like this tiny bit. It almost penetrates as much as a freaking 88mm long barrel, which is 2 meters longer than the Sherman's gun. That shows, actually, guys, how good this gun really is. All that bullshit, oh, twice as good and twice as this. Nah. Not even close, mate. 225 millimeters, 210 millimeters. There is your facts. Fine, and actually, I'm actually the only one who's telling you this now on YouTube. I'm the only one. Nobody else speaks about this because they just don't know. They haven't done the research which you should do. If you have done your research, in my opinion, you have the right to say whatever you want. If you haven't done the research and you don't know this, in my opinion, you should shut your fucking mouth. In my opinion. This is facts. All that bullshit from, oh, we are a whole lot better. my ass. Just half an inch more power, just 7%. 7% more power in the 88 with the APCR. That is it. However, let's go over the rounds. Let's start off with APC-BC. These two rounds. Of course, here the 88 does do better. That's also the main issue. A lot of people were doing basically talking shit about this gun because the only rounds that they have, this is the round that they didn't have. However, they had this available, so this does count. M61, they basically had this round. This round can still penetrate the frontal plate of a freaking Tiger. Seriously, guys. At least 300 to 350 meters. That is really good. That is pretty good. However, that is perfect to urban area. However, the issue really is on the Tigers were on defense, so urban areas you don't really come across too much. So the issue is you're gonna get out of those 350 meter ranges max to maybe even 400 millimeters if you're lucky. That is basically the absolute minimum range was already 500 meters, and then we can still only just not pierce the Tiger. Then you have basically the AP. This basically with the AP round can easily penetrate a Tiger 1 up to 700 meters, 750 meters if you're lucky, which is within, but however, that is within the minimum ranges, which is 500 to 750 meters, only just. And normally, tanks, of course, on the defense are, of course, Tigers were in hedges and woods already at 2 kilometers, so you are at least 500 to a kilometer away from that range within. However, if they would have had the T45 APCR round, the Tiger must have been quick. Because, however, this gun can reload in just 3 seconds. 20 rounds per minute. That is really quick. Also in the documentaries, also the veterans told us like a bang, bang, bang. That is thanks to this amazing reload time of 20 rounds a second, which is a maximum reload time of 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, bang, 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 you can fire this gun. However, when it takes the K36, it takes at least 3 times. This gun reloads in 9 seconds. So in the time you've only shot once, you could have already shot this gun 3 times. So if you basically had the T45 APCR, 2 rounds of T45 APCR is more than enough to completely knock out and disable a Tiger 1. Basically, or to kill all its crew. Anyways, let's go on with the penetration. So we got 110 millimeters here, 165 millimeters here. That's of course a 55 millimeter gap. That's a big fat gap. Then we got 100 meters, 107 millimeters there, so 162 there. There's basically no competition within that. However, if we go when you actually need the full power of the gun, this is absolutely going to surprise you. Already would have even surprise you even more than what I already showed you. 225 at point blank, 210 at point blank, 220 at 100 meters, 205 at 100 meters. Even with this, they lose exactly the same amount of penetration at 100 meters. They're basically, with the APCR rounds, both APCR rounds are competing completely. It's complete draw still at this point. However, this gun penetrates only half an inch more. That's the only thing. Then we go to 500 meters. The Tiger pens 200 millimeters. The Sherman pens 187 millimeters. How big was the difference at point blank? 225, 210. That is now already at 500 meters. The gap is closing down from 15 to 13 millimeters, which means that the T45 APCR round is more efficient than the APCR round of a freaking 5 meter long 88mm cannon, who is twice as good as 75. Well, as already said, my ass. 210, 225, there's your facts. Anyways, 500. There you see. Now we've only closed the gap down of a difference of just 13mm. From 15 at point blank, 13mm, and that's already at 500 meters. That's the minimum, already at the minimum battle distance. We already have, the Sherman round already starts to climb up the ranks. It already has no diff. There's almost no difference. There's a difference, but that's just so tiny, guys. So tiny. So 200, 187. That's 13mm difference. Then we go to 1,000 meters, which is basically the medium range, let's say. That's 179. That's 166. Again, only 13mm difference, and that's still at 1,000 meters. Then we climb up to 1,500. That's 160mm of penetration. That's 148. We're closing the gap down even more. Now the difference, instead of 13, is only like 12mm. That is only like at 1,500 meters. That is only 12mm difference in penetration. That's so tiny, guys. Then we move up to basically where it becomes insane ranges for both tanks. 143mm at 2 kilometers or 2,000 meters. Then we move it down again at 2,000 meters. We've closed the gap even more. The difference is only now 10mm. 133 for the 75 M3, 143 for the 88. That's 10mm already within 2 kilometers. We've closed the gap from 15mm difference to only 10mm difference. Then we go to 2,500 meters. 128 for the Tiger, 126 for the Sherman. That just closed a whole lot quicker. With the last 500 meters, we've closed the gap another 8mm. The difference at 2.5 kilometers, which is a huge distance, 128 versus 126. That is just 2mm. What is that? That's like 2 hairs. That's it. Then we move up to even more insane ranges, and basically at the absolute max for both guns. 115mm for the Tiger, 110 for the Sherman. So basically the difference goes from 15 to only just 2 and just to only 5mm. Even at 3 kilometers, the Tiger can only manages to penetrate 5mm more. That's just this, guys. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. That is 5mm. That is no difference. You will absolutely not notice that. This is basically absolute facts. All that bullshit has been told, like, oh, it's a bad gun, and basically the Tiger has twice the power. My ass. Even at 3 kilometers, we only have a 5mm difference. At point blank, only 15mm, but even at 3 kilometers, the difference comes down even further to 5mm. That is nothing. Absolutely nothing. All that bullshit again from those documentaries. I try also, guys, for documentaries, I try to upload them and also put these facts in, because yeah, this needs to be told and this never gets told. So now all you guys know that the 88mm of the Tiger is basically just 7% better than the 75 on the Sherman. That is facts. You can say whatever you want. Do the research yourself. You will find it out yourself. However, it will take at least 50 hours. And that's probably not the time that you put into it. However, if you want to know, just go and research it. But these are facts, and this is what I found out. This is what I found out. This is what I found out. After 50 hours of research. You do it yourself. You will find it. You will find out exactly the same. And I'm not lying here, guys. This gun is way overrated. This gun is way overrated. It is not twice as good as Sherman's gun. It's only 7% better. than the Sherman's gun. 7%. That is, you can barely notice that. Probably you could probably not even notice that. However, also, let's talk about this T45. Sorry, let's take this off. This T45 APCR round. Let's start off with the M72. Yeah, you have the M72 round. 120mm of pen. This round is basically capable of penetrating any Panzer IV easily, even the Panzer IV-H, the very last one, up to 1500 meters at the least. Seriously. Around 85mm of pen even there. Even the M61 APC-BC round, as you probably see, at 1000 meters, it can still easily pen a Panzer IV. And they say, oh, only at close range. Well, at 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometer, that is not close. Not even, that is not close range. Close range is 500 meters or closer, not 1000 to 1500 meters. Basically, and for the T45 APCR, this can penetrate basically up to 3000 meters, basically, maybe even further, but this is basically where it basically stops. This is basically absolutely, as you probably see also here, the maximum effective range also 2100 meters, so yeah, that's basically where it stops. Basically, even at the maximum range, easy kill, basically. Then we, of course, the Panther and the Tiger 1. What we see here, this round can penetrate a Panther or a Tiger 1 up to a respectable 600 meters. Basically, the Panther's turret, basically, or the hull of the Tiger at up to 600 meters, the AP round, which is about just slightly over the minimum battle range. APC-BC M61, this round can penetrate basically a Panther or a Tiger up to 350 meters maximum. Again, the turret of the Panther and the hull of the Tiger. The T45 APCR, 3000 meters, probably even 3200 meters maximum if you go a little bit further than that. Basically, the turret of the Panther again and the hull of the Tiger easily penetrated. You only need 2 rounds for a Panther or a Tiger to disable it, of course. And again, even this round, seriously guys, this round can still penetrate a Tiger 2H Henschel, which has about an effective thickness of about this 185 millimeters. It can still penetrate at up to 500 meters. This can penetrate the frontal turret armor, of course next to the gun shield, basically the turret cheeks of a Tiger 2H up to 500 meters. That is insane, guys. Seriously. This gun, basically, as I probably showed you in this video, these are facts. And basically all that bullshit has been told over the years. It's just not true. And now I basically finally can show you guys. I even did for a comparison. I even going to show you the T-34-85 as comparison as the last time. There you see, we've got the 85mm ZIS S53 on the T-34-85. That's APHE, 141mm of penetration at point blank, 110mm. That is a difference though, but still, that's pretty reasonable. But if you go look at the APCR round, maximum 185 to 190mm of pen. This pen's 210mm. This gun can penetrate 25mm, 20 to 25mm more than a freaking 85mm cannon on a T-34-85. There you have your point again. I probably don't have to say anything anymore then. However, guys, basically, thank you guys so much for watching. That was Quinten. That was my story on actually how good the 75mm is. And I'm not overrating it whatsoever. I'm just telling you facts. And out of the 50 hours of research which I did to only know this. Anyways, guys, that was Quinten. Please like, subscribe, and tons more videos coming. And yeah, See you next video.